right to the racks. Then I make that shit back. Run up on me, get shot in the back.
It's Jerry TV in the building. If you have yet, Scott Showman, we're another Diaries today. We got another insider video, Business Insider. Shout out Business Insider. We have the how U.S. prison gangs actually work. New Mexican Mafia doc, how crime works insider.
Yeah, we're heavy on the Mexican Mafia. We're getting
learning.
Heavy in the Mexican Mafia world and kind of understanding the dynamics of it because they are the true meros. Like they are the ones. Like they're the dominant one throughout the prison system. They run.
Word. So it's Jerry TV. If you have your Instagram channel, go check out our other one with the bloated guy. The first one we did.
Boxer.
Yeah, Boxer. Shout out Boxer, man. I know we were clowning a little bit, but it's jokes, man. It's
yeah, and they were saying he was on medication and stuff like that. So feel better, big guy.
Oh, they have a Lion Kings one. Maybe we'll do that too. How the Lion Kings game actually works. We should do that one too.
We'll do that. But if it's your first time tuning in, subscribe to the channel, request the content, and then we react.
Mother.
All right. Follow him on Instagram, Javen TV. Follow me, Pops React. Follow my YouTube channel, Pops React.
You'll see it in the comments.
Yeah.
Let's hop right to it. No more talk.
My name is Manuel Medrano, a.k.a. Cricket.
Man!
I was a member of the Arizona Mexican Mafia, and this is how crime works.
Wow, Arizona, wow. Finally, I never hear about Arizona. Man.
For the most part, if you look at the victims of the Mexican Mafia, they're going to be other members of the Mexican Mafia.
Wow.
Looking back, I mean, it's ridiculous. No matter what, you're always going to find some kind of villain amongst yourself. You know, it's just the hypocrisy of being a part of this organization.
Wow, hypocrisy. Did he rap? Most likely, yeah.
Did he rap?
When I was 17,
think about it. He must have rapped.
Because he's definitely green lighted for telling their business like this
on the internet.
Yeah.
And I was transferred to adult court. I had been in a lot of trouble already as a juvenile. So they transferred me to adult court in 1995.
Wow.
Going to prison originally, they gave me 6.5 years. My original crime, I was charged with an armed robbery. It was a carjacking. You know, I just wanted to be part of the cool crowd, and that's what it was. The members of the Mexican Mafia were somebody that we had all heard of throughout our time. You know, as juveniles, as kids, we looked up to these guys. Right. So when I got there, my crime was dangerous enough to where I ended up on a higher level yard. And so I just jumped head on into, you know, obligating myself to the organization. And like any other youngster, they used me to do multiple things. I mean, stabbings, moving drugs.
Wow, so
I was in a gang as a...
He went from 6.5 to probably doing like 15, 20 years. Like he never came home.
That's sad.
Which is crazy.
Like, and you get brainwashed into believing this is the right thing to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, inherently humans are pack animals and we move in packs. So when you got an alpha leading, a lot of people just follow. Even if you jump the cliff, drink the Kool-Aid, people
he might jump.
Yeah.
Kid, I was from a neighborhood in the west side of Phoenix. You heard about these Mexican Mafia members that ran stuff. You heard about the homicides they committed in prison. Everything sounded so glamorous the way they put it. And that movie American Me had come out.
We gotta watch
and that really had a huge influence on us. After the movie came out, everybody was running around with their shirts buttoned all the way to the top. To become a member, it's not necessarily a myth that you have to kill somebody. However, there's a lot of favoritism. There's a lot of nepotism. So there's a lot of people that get accepted and get made without the actual...
Yeah, like Bronny James. We just seen LeBron James' son.
LeBron's son just got drafted by the Lakers through nepotism. But I have a quiz today because I'm Pops Reacts and I'm 67 years old. Without cheating, how do you spell nepotism in the comments below? Because I don't know how to spell it. So I'm going to give you my thing. Nepotism. Nepatism.
No, you're wrong.
I'm wrong?
I'm not going to say the correct...
You know it?
Let them say it in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, I know.
Homicide having been done, but it's a, you know, expectation that they will kill for the organization when the time comes. At the time, I think the count was 150 members total. We like to think about it as, you know, we're the elite of the prisoner system. Originally, when I was made, I had not killed anybody yet. My high-ranking member took a liking to me, and so he pushed my well, there was a couple of them, but they pushed my name through, and I was voted on, and I became a member. Within a few months, I did kill another member in bad standing.
What?
And that solidified it I think it took me a while to get to that point.
Young killer.
And
Crazy.
I think there's a way to stop it before it goes that far. I regret it all.
Wow.
We can't save you from getting tagged in a wipeout video, but
Chapter 2.
A black
Two.
rose.
The patch itself in Arizona, the tattoo that they wear, it's a sun with the double M that comes down into double swords at the bottom. It has a saber-toothed skull above the two M's in the middle, and then a black rose in between the double M's. Only people that have killed a member in bad standing or a member in the old Mexican Mafia can even put that black rose in the middle of the patch.
Telling.
There is no...
Yeah, like
He's
he's really
telling like,
all the business.
I'm, like,
spilling the
if I'm
beans.
snitching, I'll probably leave that out. That's way too detailed.
He's spilling the taco beat.
Yeah, he's like, wow, that's crazy that he would even share that
He's spilling the burrito sauce.
all over his
Mild.
Yeah. Wow.
Mafia can even put that black rose in the middle of the patch.
Oh shit.
There is no model per se. Everybody speaks about this cause that we have. It's a recruitment tool. They talk about cultural aspects of it, the Aztec, the Mayans, try to put that kind of spin on it and just make you be prideful in your race. I used to tell younger people about the cause that we were fighting for, and if they were to ask me to define it, I wouldn't be able to. In the end, it's just about drugs and money and power. That's all it is.
Yep.
The main rules, they have the no snitching, no homosexuality. At one time, no drugs. You were not allowed to partake in any kind of drugs. That changed later. A lot of these rules are broken multiple.
Wait, why was it changed later? That's kind of weird. Rules are gonna get broken, right? But I don't think that's a good rule to have. Like, don't be on the powder or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe it was marijuana.
Times, if you see a member in bad standing or a member of the old at any time, if the doors were to pop, you have to try to kill them. When you're in this shoe program, a lot of the times the guards will make a mistake and open the doors on accident. And so you always have to be ready for that. You're up all day waiting for that, basically. You're always supposed to be ready for war. And the money situation, everything has to go up. As it comes in, the rule is that you spread it amongst the brothers, those that are within your ranking system. As a normal carnal without rank, you're just considered a brother. Then there'll be the ranking system. You have a captain, a lieutenant, a sergeant. You have a lieutenant that has 3 sergeants. Then the 3 sergeants each have 5 or 6 carnales under them. The money will go up through that pyramid. That's where a lot of the problems obviously come in, because people feel that money is always being held back, and so that rule will be broken quite often. The biggest rule is to always maintain contact. One of the reasons a lot of members have been killed is because when they get out of prison, they kind of just forget about everything. They stop contact. They just move on with their lives. A lot of the times, the problem is they don't change their lives, so they continue with crime, and they'll get locked back up, go in there and try to give excuses as to why they couldn't write, or whatever their little, whatever the excuses are. And for the most part, it never works. And so a lot of members have been killed behind that rule alone.
The expansion.
It started in California in the early 50s, 57, I believe. But the Arizona faction started in the early 70s by 3 juveniles, actually, that came into the system, and they started La Familia, and then shortly thereafter took on the name Mexican Mafia. Arizona had some influence from California, but was also autonomous, and now they are basically, it's not together necessarily, but friendly and on working terms. The administration was originally the ones that named them old and new, but they were all the same thing at one point. These are members that just split into 2 factions. It was just an internal struggle, if you will. The organizations themselves kind of used it as a way I guess just to keep it straight as well, they would say, in Spanish, we're from the Nueva, the new. They're from the Vieja, the old.
The hierarchy. This guy's kind of boring, bro. Get to the juicy stuff,
His
man.
voice sounds like he's just like laying down eating
Newports.
pastrami sandwiches, smoking Newport
And Cheetos.
and he just got me like I smoked a joint with my mom's.
I never got rank. I wasn't a sergeant, lieutenant, none of that stuff. I was
you're
just
funny.
a member. The 5 captains were the main ones that everyone knew. And those 5 captains sat at the, we call it the mesa, the table. We have the mesa system or table system where everything is voted on through them. So you had to be a captain with a black rose to sit at the table. The 5 captains set all the rules, the regulations. They changed the rules.
How crazy is
all the
that?
politics.
You have to be a captain with a black rose, meaning you had to kill somebody within the organization. That's crazy. That crazy betrayal sometimes, huh?
Yeah. And most likely you're going to get caught for doing the crime or the killing. So you got to be ready to sit down for 20 plus years.
It's crazy.
King would go through them. We're still all supposed to be brothers, and we're all supposed to be equal. Even, that's it's in name only. That is the way it's supposed to be. Obviously, the captains have a lot more power, but again, it's more of a popularity contest. If you're a brother, you basically are expected to know what it is you're supposed to be doing, whether that's establishing stores on the yards, getting rid of people that shouldn't be on the yard, bringing in dope or collecting dope on the yards.
Rivalries. What's up?
In Arizona, our main rival, as I was coming in as a youngster, was with the old Mexican Mafia. The administration tried their best to keep them protected. They have a thing where it was called protective segregation. In the later years of the 90s, we started having problems with a group that started calling themselves the Border Brothers. That became a real big thing, and California at this point was behind the Border Brothers as well. So we were actually in a war for quite a few years against Mexican nationals or Border Brothers and California, people that were born in California. The Mexican Mafia wanted to be the only organization that had a patch as far as on the Hispanic side, the Mexican side. The Border Brothers started wearing a patch. They started being hit throughout the system. And there started being riots. It was probably about a 3 or 4 year time frame where it was going on. In Arizona, they also have an Aryan Brotherhood that...
Wait, so Border Brothers are basically Arizona cats, right?
Arizona
makes
cats and some California dudes.
That are like basically like, I don't want to say that word, but like the Fresno Bulldogs, like.
No. I think that the Border Brothers are actual Mexican nationals that are in the American jail system. Okay. Get it?
Yeah.
This
people from
faction off
Mexico.
of the California Aryan Brotherhood. It was actually a California member that came into our system. The Arizona guys kind of home grew it after that. We did align with them only because of obviously the offense to the black gangs. It was just a loose allegiance. I mean, or alignment, more of just friends. If there was something that the whites did wrong, we could go to them and they would take care of it themselves, and vice versa. Obviously, if they bring in drugs, they don't have to give a portion to the Mexican Mafia, and vice versa. Everything stays within your own race, and when it comes to that. The blacks had multiple gangs. They had the Mau Mau's, Crip gang, they had the Muslims. All of them were kind of against each other, and the Aryan Brotherhood was against all of them. I was part of a riot on the Santa Rita Yard in Tucson, and I got stabbed in my neck, and I spoke to my mom.
By a black?
And my mom was born in Mexico.
Oh, shit.
And when I told her what was happening, she was like, "What are you guys are ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about? It's your same people." And I would tell her, "No, it's different, Ma. You don't know. You don't understand." And she would just be, she would cuss me out in Spanish. Just, you guys are stupid, kind of. And now that I can look back and I can see, there's no big bad wolf out there that we were fighting against. For the most part, our victims were ourselves.
He's rich as fuck. Task force.
There's not a lot of members on the street. We don't usually make it that
far. Yo, I was just thinking that, like, yo, a lot of these members are locked, gang, because you have to commit the crimes to be part of.
Saying like he went in for 6 and ended up doing like a lot of time, probably, man, because that's all in. Like, once you go in, there's no turning back, bro. This is real life too. This is not a movie.
Yeah,
this is not no made up shit. Like, shit is kind of scary.
That long, because there's a whole task force that's established for the prison gang. It was called the Violent Street Gang Task Force. It was, I believe, 2 detectives from the Phoenix PD. They had members from the FBI, from every organization you could think of. And so those were the ones that were basically on us all the time. It was tough. They would follow me everywhere. I'd walk in restaurants and they'd be sitting and they're eating. They would go to houses of, family of loved ones, and they would tell them, hey, your son is hanging out with a real bad guy. He's suspected in multiple homicides. And they would just, try to make it as tough as possible for me out there. So when there's a member that's going to get out or something, usually they're getting out with some established things that need to be done. The problem is some of these guys will get out, and even though they left the organization, they're still into drugs or into money or whatever. So they'll go back to their neighborhoods and they'll say who they were to try to get their neighborhood to give them drugs and money. And that'll always get back to a member in good standing. Mm-hmm. And so that's how we usually find them to be able to kill them. And me getting out, I did have a few names that I needed to, that were on the list to be killed. Upon being released, I right away tried to make connections with drug dealers that were already established on the streets. At first, I tried to use being a Mexican Mafia member to influence them, but that actually scared a lot of them away. People, there's a history of bullying amongst the Mexican Mafia where they would approach these drug dealers with, hey, we're the Mexican Mafia and, we want this and that. And they just take instead of, there's no give back. Yeah. So what I started doing really was I had conversations with the guys and I was like, listen, I understand our history. That's not what I'm about. The only thing I'm asking you to do is give me a better number than you give most people. At the time, methamphetamine was a big thing. And that's what I was mostly involved in. Pounds of methamphetamine I was sending to Kentucky, where it was double the price from Arizona.
The money. Coyote.
It wasn't like I had to send 80% of my proceeds to anybody. The established amount for non-members is they do have to give up a third of anything they bring into the system. So if you bring in 3 grams of heroin, 1 of those is going to the Mexican Mafia. But us, within ourselves, we're pretty free to make money and do whatever we need to do for that. It just comes down to that rule of staying in contact. So if you get a letter saying, hey, my sister needs, a TV, then you get the sister a TV and you're basically keeping people happy. Everything that came into prison was what was controlled by the Mexican Mafia. You couldn't bring dope in and make money without giving them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, guys, the street life is not worth it. There's too many rules and regulations. You have to answer to people. Look at this, bro. They can't even do whatever they want.
Get a job, bro. That shit is tough. And, we're in the East Coast, so there's a lot of criminal stuff going on. But it's like, all right, you do a crime, you go to jail, but then you're really dealing with a bunch of savvy people,
grimy,
and it's a whole chain of events, a system that's happening every day, and you just fall in that, and you ain't changing it. You can't be like, yo, maybe we should talk. Nah. There's none of that. Just get a job, bro. Stay out this world.
Now with the connections to California and the cartels and stuff, things are a little bit more organized and established with the drug trade, and They started legitimate businesses and putting up car shops and different things like that. It depends on the members that are on the street. There was a few members in Tucson that were bringing tons and tons of dope from Mexico. They had that connection out there. I know California had a little bit more established connections with the Arellano Felix cartel at one point. It's not like saying the Mexican Mafia is working with the cartel. It's just, this member has a connection with the cartel. And if you need dope, we can get it, obviously. I mean, if you need 1,000 pounds, it'll be here. One of the big things that was happening in my day was coyoting, the Mexican nationals, bringing them over the border.
Wow.
Was a big thing. That was one of the things that was a little more organized. Usually we wouldn't do it ourselves. We're not going to take that type of risk. But you could send your soldiers that are looking up to you to go bring, 10, 20 of the, what they call chickens, pollos, across the border and bring the money back. And that was huge.
No, you can make a lot of money doing that, I heard. Like, there's a lot of money in that, but I think
I don't get it. They're drug trafficking.
No, they're basically bringing people illegally. They're bringing people illegally to America without papers. But there's got to be a lot of money. But I bet you if you get caught, you probably get a lot of years for that, right?
Yeah, but they usually send the coyotes are usually
like Mexican people.
Yeah, so they'll get locked up here for a little bit, then they get sent back to Mexico.
Yeah. No, but there's American dudes who help. You gotta help. There's gotta be Americans that help them
to a certain extent. Yeah, so that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Believe still is. Just watching the news, you can see the stash houses that they catch were full of Mexican nationals being held, and that was the other side of it. A lot of them were sent to a stash house, and they would be held there until their family paid whatever was agreed upon. And yeah, absolutely, that's still happening.
Yeah, the recruitment. Oh shit.
Paperwork.
People usually come into the system already with a name. A lot of us did time together in juvenile hall. And so there's always some kind of connection. His dad may be in prison, his uncle. As people are coming into the system. I forgot
about that. They be dudes who have like uncles and cousins who are in prison with them. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I have a good friend who uncle, and I know this guy a long time, like almost 25 years. His uncle's always in jail. So his uncle will do like 5 years, come home.
Do another 7.
For a summer, do 7, come home, do something, be in jail for 2 years, come home. So he just went back in after he'd been like 20 years or 25 years of being in and out of jail, mostly in jail. You just become institutionalized. That's your home.
You kind of know from their neighborhood or their family who they are. There is no obligation to the organization. You don't have to be a part of it. The only obligation you have is if there's a riot, you have to take part in it. It's as a Chicano or a Mexican. I really only took part in sponsoring one member. I recruited. I talked to younger kids about the cause, and I did all of that stuff as well. Everybody's paperwork is read when they're coming in the system. You would read people's case. The pre-sentence report was the biggest thing that would have a lot of clues. Anybody with a sex offense, there's no way that you're gonna become a member. Other than that, there are really no guidelines. If you don't even have to be Mexican to be in the Mexican Mafia. It's just a matter of, what's in their heart. If they're willing to put in the work and be a part of it, then they can work their way into being that.
The codes.
In Arizona, we have no color system. In California, obviously, that's their thing. They have the sureños with the blue and stuff. Arizona doesn't have that. In Spanish, La M is just the M. It's just the shortening of the Mexican Mafia calling it La M. In Arizona, we don't use the black hand as a signifier. Some of the old Mexican Mafia did, but we have our own. I had the tattoo, the Mexican Mafia tattooed on my back. In Old English, 4-inch letters, huge. The government actually paid to cover it. I mean, it was crazy. I couldn't walk around the rest of my life with Mexican Mafia tattooed on my back like that.
You know how you get government cheese? He had the government tattoo removal. So this guy definitely ratted.
Yeah, he ratted. The government cheese for a government rat.
I mean, it was crazy. I couldn't walk around the rest of my life with Mexican Mafia tattooed on my back like that. So, yeah, they paid to have it a tattoo artist actually come in and cover it up for me. The Arizona Mexican Mafia uses a lot of Nahuatl, which is the Aztec language. A lot of members learned that throughout their time in prison. We would use it a lot to write each other. So for the purposes so administration couldn't read our letters kind of as code. There's been other codes that we've made and come up with in there. Just kind of bingo type, codes where you put letters in different spots and only the other person would know it. And every member usually has a code name in Nahuatl as well.
Okay.
That way we can speak of other members without, the facility knowing who we're talking about. It never works. They usually already know, but it's what we think at the time. The biggest way is through legal mail. You would get a case and print it out as thick as you can get it. In the back of one of the papers, you could write whatever needs to be sent. Now you have, 300 pages of something where one page in the middle somewhere may have a note in it. It's going to be real difficult to detect that, especially since they're not allowed to actually go through your legal mail the way they can regular mail. There's another way where it's kind of, you write with urine. And when they get it in prison, you could put fire to it and it'll come out kind of brown. The best way to send messages is just word of mouth. There's a lot of so-called secretaries, usually members' wives or girlfriends. Back then, we would have a girlfriend have 2 or 3 phones in her house. And, different members would call from different facilities and she would put the phones on speakerphone, and then we could just talk to each other that way directly.
She could get in trouble for that.
And that shit is all recorded though.
Yeah.
The guards, NFL bets.
The biggest thing in prison was commissaries as good as money. Stamps was the big thing. That is the currency of prison. The NFL bets and all of that, everything was done in stamps. Dope you can buy with stamps. There was 2 ways that people could pay, or 3 actually.
We've been doing so much prison reactions, I feel like I did time. All we talk about is
it shows me, so I'm happy I did not do time.
Right?
And I'm grateful. Gonna stay away from, tried my best not to do time, because this is gangsta.
If you brought in cash, if you snuck cash in, cash was worth double. So if you had $100, it was worth $200. Commissary was 1 for 1, so I would give you a list the day before commissary of everything I wanted you to order for me. And, that's how you would pay me. Or you could do street to street, where your loved one would send the money to my loved one on the street. And in that case, you had 10 days for the money to be received by whoever I was receiving it. If it wasn't there within 10 days, it could double. When you're talking about the economy in prison, something that costs $20 on the street is worth, a couple hundred in prison. And so when these guards, you offer them that type of money, it's hard for them to say no. The integrity only takes them so far. Corruption is not difficult because of, they're human, especially when you're young and you're being offered big money and you're getting paid, $40,000 a year. And these guys are, waving, that amount of money to you for doing something that seems almost, too easy. Some of them will be relationships. The guys will get into a relationship with a woman guard, and then the woman just feels this obligation or love or need to please, and so they'll bring in anything. Sometimes they're lied to. Hey, I just need you to bring me this pair of shoes, but the pair of shoes is full of dope. They just don't know it. And sometimes they're told straight up what it is, and they're good with it. Anyway. It just depends. I've seen guards open doors and let people go in and stab somebody.
Wow.
As far as training is concerned, that may be part of it. I've seen them as young as 20 years old, 21. You know, they're just kids, and you're dealing with career criminals, people that have been in prison.
He got smacked by the prison guy that ran away. You gotta have some type of pepper spray or something.
Shit is a whack job. That CO job, because you do the time with them.
He said dudes be 20, 21.
Yeah, they be babies, bro.
Dealing with grown men like that.
That's 30 years. I mean, you know, the incarceration rate in the United States, we're high up there in the world. Just putting someone in a cell for 5 years and then releasing them and expecting them to be different than they were 5 years ago is that's not a plan. It's not going to happen. You know, if anything, I think it makes you worse. In my day, there were no programs. You can get your GED, and that was basically it. Just giving people the tools to, you know, to do something with their lives may even change them on the inside if you give them a little sense of worth. You know what I mean? When you're just sitting in there day to day feeling like you're warehoused, I think it takes some of the humanity away from you as well.
You got to remember, you did the time, you did the crime, you did the crime, you do the time. So basically what happens is you have to suffer for doing a crime.
Well, that's the old school way, but the biggest issue that's become is that I grew up in a culture where it was like, yo, lock them up and throw away the key. And this country has done that for many decades. So now a lot of those guys are getting out, and the prisons are full. So there's a lot of dudes going to jail that got arrested 31 times and getting released because the jails are full. And when you throw people in jail and you don't train them, you don't give them a skill set, you don't give them nothing, you don't help them get their GED, maybe learn how to read, write, skill set, AI, how to build a car, something, they come back to society mad, bro. Because now the felons can't vote. You're excluded from many jobs. You can't even be a real estate agent. You can't do a lot of things.
Yeah.
You can't have a weapon.
Yeah.
So you come back and you're like, yo, it's me against the world.
Good point.
Fall in line with what's going on. And so the killing, you know, the drugs, all this stuff just becomes normal. It's not hard to become a murderer. It's not hard to kill. And so I think the Department of Corrections would do everybody a favor if they did if they separated everybody in that way, younger from older, dangerous from non-dangerous. But they don't. You know, everybody just kind of gets mixed in. And again, I know it's difficult. It's, you know, how many facilities can you have, and you know, how many guards do you have to man these facilities? But in a perfect world, I think separation would be the best way.
They're staying. What's that? Working for the feds. Oh shit.
I was released in 2001 on parole, and I was out for 7 months. I went back in on just a possession of marijuana charge. I was out for 4.5 months, and I got locked back up. I was pulled over with a gun and in the car under the passenger seat. Even though I got found not guilty, the prosecution put in for the judge to violate my probation or my parole and sentenced me to 15 months in prison.
What?
I was released April of 2003. And then in May, we had the federal sting where they called the meeting at the embassy suites for all members. And there was like, I think 13 or 14 of us on the street at the time. And we all went to this meeting where we talked about past stuff. I talked, you know, homicides that we had done and future stuff, homicides that we were gonna do, drug deals that were on the horizon. And it was all a setup. One of the members, he was actually working for the feds. They had video cameras, audio, everything.
I think we covered something like
set
that.
up. And
go check it out.
And so 11 days after being released, I was rearrested, and I went back to prison.
No, but that was in a hotel. I know you're getting a little confused.
Yeah, maybe confused, but it's like rinse and repeat. So this shit happens over and over. But we thank you. If you made it this far into the video with us, please subscribe to the channel and like our content. We appreciate it.
Yeah, that's crazy how he beat that case is still in his purse.
Yeah, but he's still out in these streets with a gun under his seat and driving around with weed. Like, yo, like, don't do that, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's true.
And I thought I was going to get out from there. I didn't know, obviously, yet about the sting. I thought I was just arrested on my violation of parole. My son's mom, based on the fact that she had been arrested in our case, she had been indicted. A few members felt that she would be the weak link. So they had green lighted her and they were going to kill her.
What?
But no one spoke to me about it, and everybody, we were all there together.
Right, that's a good reason to betray, I'm not going to say them, but to portray a certain organization. That they're going to kill your BMs.
Yeah, they're going to kill, your
baby moms.
Oh, mother of your child.
That's wild.
Kill her. But no one spoke to me about it, and everybody, we were all there together. The people that made this decision, one of them lived right next door to me at the time. And so when the feds came and talked to me about it and showed me the proof of what, this conspiracy to kill her was about, and it wasn't necessarily that I didn't believe them, because I saw the proof. So when I got back to the pod, I brought it to their attention. I was first told that, the organization comes first. It's how, all this type of stuff. And I agreed. I knew that. However, I felt that I should have been at least included in the vote.
It's a tough spot because you get the guys being like, yo, this chick is gonna snitch. She gotta go. So you kind of get that. And then you kind of get them not telling him because he's gonna vote against it. So, the organization is gonna do what they're gonna do. So, they're not gonna tell him. So it's tough because he ain't gonna green light. He's not gonna want to do that shit,
He got betrayed, though. Because they should let him know.
Yeah, well, that's the tangle web we weave.
That, this is my son's mom. She just had my son, little baby. Wow. They agreed and apologized and said it wasn't going to happen, but that I needed to talk to her and ensure that she wasn't going to speak out. But that was the issue. I had told her that she could tell on me. Go ahead and tell them whatever you need to tell them to get your case dismissed, plea bargain, whatever you got to do. A couple weeks later, the feds came back with more info. They had a taped phone conversation where it was being sent out. And so immediately, the day the feds came with the information about the phone call is when I told them, hey, go pick her up. Put her somewhere safe and we'll start talking. Oh, shit, they put her on the phone with me and they had her checked into a hotel and with my son. I still remember, she's like, so you're gonna flip? She goes, what the is wrong with you? And I was like, what do you want me to do? They're gonna kill you. What do you want me to do? I can't just leave you at the house. And that was the end. That was the beginning of the end, I guess. They sent me to the CCA, and then I was there in the hole or segregation for about, I think, 4 or 5 more years.
What?
Was the end of my criminal career, I guess you would call it. I think that was the hardest time. I was, at the same time, I was on lockdown 23 hours a day, and in fact, they had enhanced security measures on me because I had went to that CCA, and so the marshals had put all these extra security measures on me where I had to be housed alone, rec alone, shower alone. A lieutenant or above had to be there to take me out of my cell. But I still thought that I was gonna get life. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I was ever gonna get out. I was in until 2015, and now I've been out about 9 years.
He was in a box 5 years.
Wow.
This other side that I'm doing now with, speaking out against it, I think I owe it. There's a lot of kids that look up to this, that think that this is something that is honorable, and it's just not. Me and my son's mom started the nonprofit phase 2 of life.
Why? Why is he showing that? Oh my God! They could pull up to the meetings and they shouldn't even show. He shouldn't even.
We don't care. They're not scared, man.
Yeah.
You're not scared. You're saying, I'm not scared. I'm not afraid.
Youth and trying to keep these kids at the very least away from these prison gangs, but if we can, away from prison in general. This is just about going into juvenile facilities, schools, talking to these kids. We've done fundraisers where we do back to school backpacks. We've given PE equipment to schools. We're just trying to do little things in the community. But in the long run, our hope is to, for this nonprofit to have its own facility where we can offer these kids some kind of trade, some sense of self-worth, and have us there as adult guidance for these guys. A lot of these kids don't have that. I've talked to lots of people now. I've made contacts through, the YouTube channel, crazy as it sounds. I have a couple members reaching out to me that are still active and telling me things that are going on within the organization now. And I think it's a good way to know, the happenings of today. They're no different than before. It's the same drama, the same stuff. Obviously, if I wouldn't have done what I've been doing, this type of stuff, nobody would know what I look like. I've burnt myself by doing what I do, but all of the older members that I did time with are either doing life or they're out of the game altogether.
Yeah, that's true.
See you in the future later.
Blood in, blood out.
I think that the glamour behind it has been overblown. Those movies, American Me and Blood In, Blood Out, were significant in making younger individuals, kids, with easily influenced minds, see this as a glamorous thing to be a part of. Although these are smart individuals, they're convicts, and for the most part, they're drug addicts. They're not the elite that people would like to, that we would like to portray ourselves as. That's what I want to put out there more than anything, is these kids to know that hype is just that. There's no cause, there's no family. These aren't your brothers. You're gonna end up hurting your real family, your own. Everything that you love and that loves you, for a bunch of fools that are just playing pretend.
Not worth it, man. All right, that's good. That's good enough. It's Jerry TV. If you get via Scott Channel.
Thanks for tuning in. Subscribe. We out of here.
And I know how it gets, so I gotta stay low now, move my knot. I don't trust no nigga, I don't trust no man, ain't no friends, everybody get shot. You never know how nigga gon' throw, I'm hitting the floor with a couple of shots. You better move, you better duck, either way to go.